Welcome to the Great Basin Seasonal Outlook for September through December 2019. Over the last 30 days, we've seen generally near to just above normal temperatures across the Great Basin. Over southern areas, however, and across Utah, temperatures have been a little bit higher than normal. Precipitation, however, has been very dry, with the southern two-thirds of the Great Basin seeing well below normal precipitation, and really anywhere across the Great Basin that has seen precipitation over the last 30 days has been associated with thunderstorm activity and has been fairly spotty. Looking at our winter-spring precipitation from October through May of this year, you can see the above normal precipitation over really all of the Great Basin, especially Nevada, Utah, and the Arizona Strip. And again, these are the areas that we're seeing the above normal fine fuel crops this year. Further north, we've seen near normal precipitation across Idaho, but in the far south, we are seeing some above normal areas of annual grass crop due to some precipitation that is just above average as well. Looking at our soil moisture, the comparison from July 30th, the image in the top left, to August 31st, the image in the bottom right, and you can see significant drying across the Great Basin. Areas of Utah, eastern and southern Nevada were quite moist as we went into the end of July, but have dried out significantly with a lack of a significant monsoon this year across these areas. Also over parts of Northern California and the higher terrain of the Sierra into western Nevada, soil moistures have also continued to decrease. Looking at our drought monitor and outlook, you can see areas are becoming now abnormally dry across the Arizona Strip and across the higher terrain of Utah into far southern Nevada. We do not see any changes to our drought, however, over the next few months, as we are expecting precipitation to increase over parts of the Great Basin, especially Utah, into far southern Nevada as we move over the next few weeks. Looking at our 10-hour fuel moisture, conditions have really dried across the Great Basin, and we're seeing a very low fine fuel moisture, especially across Nevada and Utah into far southern Idaho. 100-hour fuel moisture is also low across the southern two-thirds of the Great Basin, and similar with 1,000-hour fuel moistures. We've just seen very dry conditions recently across the region, and this has allowed fuel moistures to continue to dry out at a time of year when fuel moistures would traditionally be going up. Looking at our current ERCs, you can see over parts of southern Idaho and over Utah, ERCs are well above normal, and across much of Utah, these ERCs are still hitting records for the time of year due to how dry conditions have been. Looking at our live fuel moisture, however, live fuel moisture continues to trend downward and is near to just below normal across the Great Basin. If we look at our grass fuel loading and experimental product across the Great Basin, if you look down in the bottom right, you can see generally the changes in our fuel moisture, and you can see the areas that are above normal are in the bright or dark green. So you can see over the southern half and eastern half of Nevada into western Utah is where the fuel loading has been the highest this year. Now we'll look at some of our outlooks and take us into the next few months. If we look at our 8 to 14 day outlook, which takes us from September 8th through the 14th, you can see generally warm conditions expected, especially over the eastern areas of the Great Basin. However, precipitation will be increasing to near to above normal across the Great Basin by the middle of the month. If we look at the El Nino and La Nina conditions that we are expecting, here are some of the forecasts for El Nino and La Nina, and you can see here is the dark black line showing the zero line, right around normal for sea surface temperatures. You can see most of the lines are between 0 and about 0.5. This takes us into either a neutral condition or possibly trending towards El Nino maybe as we get into the early part of next year. But right now it looks like the average is right around neutral, so we are expected to stay in those neutral conditions potentially into the early part of next year. If we look at our 1 month outlook taking us through the month of September, you can see generally warm conditions, but we are expecting those above normal precipitation chances, especially for the eastern two-thirds of the region. We still may stay fairly dry on the far western or northwest side of Nevada, but we will be seeing systems come in bringing some cooler temperatures. The 3 month outlook from October through December still shows that warm signature, especially across the Four Corners region, and the potential for above normal precipitation over the eastern half of the region, with possibly drier conditions developing through the fall over western areas. If we put all these pieces together, we'll look at our outlook, which is generally normal for the time of year for the next 4 months. This would be decreasing fire activity. Despite how high our fire danger indices are at the present time, especially across the eastern half of the Great Basin, we will be seeing moisture increase as we go through the next 2 to 3 weeks through September, so we will see those indices start to decrease, especially as we get into the end of the first week of the month. Therefore, we will see an increase in showers and thunderstorms, which may allow our fire activity to pick up a little bit through through the first several days of the month, but we will see that moisture move in by the end of the first week of September, and this should again gradually knock our fire activity down. That concludes our webcast for this month. Check back next month for the latest updates.